Hey, good morning, Curtis.
Morning, Jeff.
All right. Good morning, cryptocurrency questions, answers, and news. Today we've got a few things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about PayPal and Bitcoin. We're also going to have a conversation about the ban of crypto mining in Iran. And sorry, I just drew blank. What was the third topic? Oh, uh, Apple Apple job description looking for cryptocurrency uh, skills. So I think that let's talk a little bit about the whole banning of crypto mining in Iran. Isn't there like a war going on over in that area right now, or some unrest?
Um, well, from my understanding, um, a lot of the energy issues aren't necessarily from Bitcoin. Um, they have it's Iran, right? So there's a lot of course, economic issues to begin with. There's a natural gas shortage. There's stay-at-home orders for Corona. Their economy is struggling right now. And so the blackouts would be happening without Bitcoin. And what they're saying, the government officials, is that hey, we're banning it through September 22nd, and it's because most of the operators don't have licenses, which of course, us people here in the crypto world. Um, Licenses for Bitcoin mining don't make a whole lot of sense to us. It's really just another way for the establishment to get additional revenue sources
Mhm.
from places they really don't have any business putting their hands. But that's just what I think. I mean, of course, other people probably think uh, that the government should get 30%, which as you know, Jeff, running a mining facility probably in Canada, just as the United States, we're already we're already going to be paying our taxes on these things. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but the good news is, it's kind of a mixed bag with the news that came out yesterday. I think the market still looks pretty bullish. There's
Mhm.
definitely some resistance around the $40,000 to $42,000 mark with Bitcoin. But with the bad news yesterday with Iran, which didn't affect the market wildly, it's also a lot of good news that came out. So I think that we have found some really stable ground, and I still feel like it's up from here. What are your thoughts on the Iranian ban?
Yeah, I mean, very very similar. I mean, they're definitely they're under economic impact. There's social and civil unrest, and I can understand that their power grid is taxed. You know, especially given the time of year and the heat that they're going to be going through. So rolling brownouts, rolling blackouts, definitely. Um, so I don't think it has really anything to do with Bitcoin mining per se. It's just they're trying to cut back anything that is a high energy consumer.
Yeah, Bitcoin was just an easy target for them.
Yeah,
They focus on, their regime is very control oriented.
yeah,
I mean, and this is going down a different path, but I mean, there's people there in prison for that are being religiously prosecuted. So you can imagine the idea of competing currency in Iran, and probably the amount of regulation that is wrapped up in it.
hmm yeah, yeah. So I think that there's definitely some issues there, and it's
Hmm.
not specific. Being like their blackouts aren't being created by an abundance of Bitcoin mining. It's just it's that proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back.
Absolutely.
it's interesting. I was having a conversation with a fellow who said, "Oh, do you think I could get a bigger service in my neighborhood?" And I said, "Well, I doubt it." And the reason I say that is that because the grid is balanced, especially like if you're in a neighborhood that's been around for 50 years, asking for, another 200 amp grid, or asking for, service, or asking for a 500 amp service or something like that, that just, you're not going to be building out a mining facility in your garage, right?
Yeah. Well,
In a residential neighborhood.
there are solutions, right? We've
Yep.
talked about this renewable clean energy that, of course, is maybe a expensive cost up front, but in the long run, other than hardware, the only expense is energy.
Yep.
So mining just it's just I've read lots of stories about how it's one of the best businesses to get into right now, and as you know, Jeff, I'm diving in myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No. And
got some payouts.
that's, and this is the good thing, is that there's an opportunity, and there's no better time than the present. Um, that said, it's getting into mining at the peak of the market because of the cost of entry. You know, it's if like, take a look. We just had a market correction, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone's buying the latest GPUs, and they're pretty much on scalper pricing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah, you
uh,
can't buy them direct from the manufacturers right now.
no,
So it's just
no,
like anything else. When it's out of the market, you've got all these people that have went in to buy them to resell them, on Amazon or some other type of auction site, and it just drives the price sky high.
yeah,
So yeah, and the reverse is also true. When there's a bearish market and crypto mining is not as profitable, then you have the exact opposite, right? And
yeah.
you have GPUs that flood the market and the price goes down. So it's definitely a business cycle in itself. So just like crypto, the best time to get in is when prices are low. So
Yeah, and I was chatting about this with someone yesterday, and it's that, when Bitcoin dropped to $30,000, everybody's nervous. They're immediately thinking, this is a bear market. I need to sell,
mhm.
right? And so it's that human emotion, that fear, right? And that's, take a look at the fear and greed index. I checked it this morning. It's at 27. And I mean, just a few days ago, it was at 9. So we're seeing the market is moving quickly out of fear and greed, and fear towards the greed. So what it kind of says to me is that we may be in for another little correction, right? So we may see us testing the support level on Bitcoin again, and
Yeah.
just being that, I think that the people who helped move Bitcoin pricing in the direction it moved and did the accumulation may want another swat at the cat. Also, to agitate things and to bring to get the fear a little bit more, so that we get a higher acceleration. And I think that we went from 9 to 27 in days. So I think that we're starting to see that acceleration curve. So let's see what the investors have to say about that. Let's talk a little bit about so PayPal
Hmm.
is now going to allow the withdrawal of Bitcoin. So
Absolutely. So the head of PayPal has a head of crypto, right? His name
mhm,
is, and I may get this wrong. His name is Jose Fernandez de Point, and so what I've read is that they are adding support for third-party wallets. So they're not so much building their own way to withdraw. They are adopting already established wallets and adding support for those. And of course, with PayPal, um, when they made that announcement, there were other questions, right? Because PayPal doesn't just own PayPal. So the answer to that was yes, Venmo is going to offer the same kind of support. So that is going to be, I think, really good for the market, because I think a lot of the crypto people or Bitcoiners that are into it, we tend to discourage people away from platforms that don't allow for actual custody of the coins. Well, now you've got a major player in the game that is saying, yeah, you can buy crypto through us, and you want to send it to your own wallet, go right ahead. So I think that that's really good news. And that kind of thing is the kind of thing that offsets the Iranian, power issue with Bitcoin miners FUD. So, but pretty balanced news, which is good. It's not all bad. There's no, it doesn't seem like there's a bunch of money being pumped in to correct the price anymore, which is good. And to your point with the the potential dip. I was looking at the charts, and you can see a very prominent inverse head and shoulders that is forming in almost all the way across the board, from Bitcoin to altcoins. And yeah, there's definitely another, you've got your left shoulder, you've got your head. Your right shoulder hasn't quite formed yet. So I do think you're right. Of course, there's always a degree of uncertainty, but there definitely looks like the right shoulder needs to come down a little bit to form that perfect inverse, and I think that's where we're headed. So.
Yeah, and I think that for those that didn't get, don't feel that now is a good entry point for Bitcoin. I mean, we're only at what are we at? Like a 40% discount off of the all-time high, 45% discount. So if you're looking for a deeper discount, you may find it. But here's the thing. Get your USDT or USDC, your stable coin, get it there and place the order. Figure out where you think it's going to bounce. Take a look at that support line and have that limit order placed. Because when this bounces, it's not going to stay there long. And I think that's what we're going to see is we'll see that head and shoulders come down, and it'll bounce off a low number, and then it'll come back up into the the low 30s, and then it'll move back up rapidly in a few hours, and that'll be the head and shoulder pattern, inverse head and shoulder pattern that's going to move us into retesting the resistance lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that is a really good indicator that it's not going to come down much further. Now, me personally on my charts, I'm seeing potential right shoulder at about 35 to 36,000. And also, for longer term, if you look at the exchange outflows, and we talked the other day about how when you see, USDT leaving exchanges, that's usually a bad sign. Or if you see crypto going into exchanges, that's a bad sign. But the outflows of Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of these altcoins leaving the exchanges and people taking actual custody of the coins is a very bullish signal. And it's happening very rapidly right now, and exchanges are starting to dwindle their supplies. There's always going to be supplies, because when people sell, they're going to come back in. But people are taking custody of their coins right now. Very bullish sentiment. I think that the overall outlook is really good right now. I think all the big whales got in and scooped up what they wanted to, and I think we're on the way back up. But I think there's going to be a slight movement down. I think we're going to touch 35, 36, and then it's going to blast off. So, and that's my hope.
Yeah, that's my hope as well. And so, this whole recent correction has driven me into trying to get an understanding of the, Richard D. Wyckoff, the Wyckoff method. And I was looking at what I looked at was what was called the Wyckoff accumulation schematic, right? And when you look at that, and I drew it out on the Bitcoin chart in TradingView, and I took a look at it, and it's not perfect, but it's moving along that lines, in that they do show what he shows is what they call it'll go down and it'll touch off the whatever the upper support line, and then it'll come back up, and then it may do one more test of the lower support line and just dip slightly below it, and that's what he calls the spring. And that they're talking about the manipulators, the market intelligence, the smart money as we call it, that's actually a very necessary move to push it in to go to the higher highs.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these things are working on our emotions, and the fear and greed emotion, and getting some market agitation. So where I was looking before at that sideways dance and not understanding it, now I'm, instead of looking at the charts and the head and shoulders, because everybody's reporting that, I'm trying to say, what can the market possibly do?
Mm-hmm.
And the big scheme of things in the next 6 or 8 weeks, or 10 weeks, I'm not a financial advisor or not a financial planner, nor am I a certified like futurist, right? I have a crystal ball, but I certainly don't know how to use it for predicting markets. So let's talk about Apple.
Yeah.
And their job, the job post and the job description, looking for knowledge of cryptocurrencies. What's your thoughts about this? What's that say?
We've had people in the group post before that kind of had mentioned that, hey, especially when Tesla decided to take custody of some coins, right? That Apple would be a great milestone, and there was some speculation that Apple may be holding, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is a good indicator that something's going on. But what that is, of course, is anybody's best guess. Haven't had a chance necessarily to read the posting, but it seems like they're interested in somebody that has 5 years of experience in payment systems that are related to cryptocurrency. So, maybe this is their kind of, they see what's going on with PayPal and Venmo, and they realize that this market is going to move quick. And, Apple, they like to be the first with everything, right? Or at least get something out there. I think that this is a move to match PayPal to the Venmo, and to make sure that they are still considered cutting edge, because the companies that are getting in to crypto are your risk takers and your innovators, and Apple's always been considered that. So they can't get behind on this. So I think they're going in. I think they're going to go in hard.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of other organizations follow that lead, right? Especially those that are the industry disruptors. I mean, the ability to take my Ethereum, my Bitcoin, or whatever tokens that they consider, and to be able to use it in my app store, right, to power those purchases. And I think that's will totally make sense. So kudos to Apple for throwing a signal out that says this cryptocurrency is a viable, and not only is it a viable market space, it's a necessary market space, and we all need to pay attention to it. And when it comes back to, or look at the size of the market today and the number of people worldwide involved in crypto, at less, it's the 1%. So there's a massive amount of adoption and a massive amount of opportunities. And we're all sitting here in our micro-focused worlds, and we're looking at all of these big blockchains, and we're counting pennies. And it really comes down to that we have only a few $1 trillion in this market cap. This is chump change. that when the world wakes up to cryptocurrency and the gates start opening, you know, Bitcoin could, as Michael Saylor was saying, when Bitcoin hits $10 trillion, it's going to stabilize. So, you know, if Bitcoin becomes a 10 or a $20 trillion asset, and Ethereum is a 5 to 10 or $15 trillion asset, you know, all of the top 10 coins are going to be moving into the trillions of dollars instead of billions of dollars. That's when things are going to get real. And that's also where the opportunities for all these projects, where we've been accumulating the right projects and holding some of those, so that when this market storm comes, we haven't bought pizza, if you will, with our 20,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, have you seen the Bitcoin pizza company yet?
No.
Well, crypto Twitter, they're it's really very entertaining. If you get a chance, you should plug in every once in a while. But there is a company, and they call it Bitcoin Pizza. And funny thing is they don't really accept crypto for their pizza, but I guess it's just a marketing thing because everybody in crypto knows the story. But yeah, they've rolled out several locations across the country, and so yeah, Bitcoin Pizza exists. And
Yeah, I think that's brilliant marketing, you know, and kudos for them. So I think the market is definitely moving in the direction that everybody hoped it would. That, you know, that this correction was a necessary step in the evolution of moving to higher highs. We're still going to see a little bit of a shakeup. You know, it's like we're going to be doing the martini shaker with the market for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know, when it comes time to pour that martini, I think it's going to run smooth and fast.
I agree. And you know, so you had mentioned prior the XRP uh,
Right.
phenomenon and the SEC and that sort of thing, and I wanted to touch on that since we're getting close to the hour here. Um, so yeah, you know, one of the things that XRP brought up the other day um, in their lawsuit was that there is a lack of regulatory clarity in the United States for crypto companies that are developing software,
Mm-hmm.
and it's absolutely true. And it, you know, if you guys watch, you know, BitBoy Crypto and those guys, you know, he recently went to Texas to talk to some of their, um, you know, government officials and different people in the sector about this very thing. And the truth is, it is an extremely gray area. You know, you have federal law that was made in the early 1900s that you know, the laws in this country in the United States just don't move as fast as the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a very legal gray area where they say, yes, cryptos are securities. However, they do not function in the same manner as traditional securities. When you buy Bitcoin, you're not buying a portion of the company, and you don't have any rights to any kind of margin or you know, anything at all, right? You're just participating in the network as a volunteer of sorts, and maybe, you know, Ethereum, and maybe you build on it. You're really a decentralized organization that you're just plugging into. So I don't think that they understand that it's not just a speculative investment, that it is a growing public software. And it just, you know, I like to compare it to, and I hate to do this, but the marijuana industry, right? You've got
Right.
these federal laws that are out there that say, yeah, marijuana is illegal, right? And but you've got all the states and different organizations that have popped up and said, hey, we're doing this anyways, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of that sort of thing is kind of happening right now. And you know, but there are some legal loopholes. But still, anybody that is doing this right now in the United States still runs the risk of, you know, the SEC or anybody else kind of popping up and saying, "Hey, you can't do that." And it's just crazy to me. But I do think that XRP has a strong case. I don't think that the SEC expected them, like you said the other day, to put up the kind of defense that they put up. But they're flush with cash, and I think in the end, I'd like to see a settlement, but I think the stakes may be too high, and I think it may go all the way to the finish line.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think what we're looking, this is a precedent-setting case, and it's like, the headline the other day was saying that crypto, there's a lot of other cryptos that are violating um, regulatory laws, and it's like you said, that this is the Wild West. There is no such regulation. It's like, because we're comparing things to securities. That's all the time we have for today. And I want to be respectful of your time, Curtis, because I know we could go on. And I
Yeah.
want to thank everybody for joining us today, for the love that you're showing us. Remember to invite your friends into cryptocurrency questions, answers, and news. We're looking for like-minded individuals. And then tell us what you'd like to hear and talk about. Or if you think you have a voice that you would like to share, get in touch with us, because we'd love to have you join us. So
Yeah.
thank you
Also,
very much. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry, if there's a breaking story too, I know a lot of you like to share particular stories. If there's one in particular that you'd like us to dig deeper into and discuss, happy to do it. That's kind of what we live for. But yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you again tomorrow.
All right.